time.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but this is not your first time on this particular
show. I've been here before.
Thank you for coming back again.
You're welcome.
All right, so we want to talk about managing stresses, but before that, first remind us who you are.
My name is Zipporah Wanyeki. I'm a teacher, I'm a trainer, I'm a counselor. We do training at Baton of Hope, Kenya. It's an organization where we are counseling the less fortunate, the COVID victims, and all those people in the society. So don't say that counselors are too far. We are within the neighborhood. And I also do one-on-one counseling. Other than that, I train groups of people. I think my week has been staffed with a lot of trainings. And if you want to get more of my content, you can visit me on my Facebook at Zipi Wanyeki. You can use my Twitter at Wanyeki1 Zipporah. You can get my YouTube channels, subscribe and get the previous shows. They're going to be of help. So my YouTube channel is Zipporah Wanyeki.
All right. So now let's get into this, managing stresses. Let's start with what is stress. We might assume people know what stress is. So tell us what stress is.
Sure. And I'll also tell you maybe how to know that you're stressed, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Now, stress is what we call an extreme difficulty, straining. You're straining, you feel you are experiencing extreme difficulty in your life because of many things that maybe we are going to come and discuss. And I want to tell you, Stephanie, that most people don't know that they are stressed. And that is why most people think that they are not supposed to go to hospital. Utasikia mtu akikwambia mimi naumwa na kichwa, I think I'm stressed, but they are not sure. And so they don't work on it. They go and take a Panadol or something like that just to cool their system down. But they haven't dealt with what was bringing all this so that you could have that headache. Because we call them psychosomatic illnesses. Illnesses that do not have a specific cause, but they are there because there's something your brain is juggling with. But you haven't addressed the main reason. And that is why you hear that people are just there. Before you know it, you are dealing with a more serious case we call depression. So you must manage stress so that you don't go to depression.
It doesn't lead to depression. Okay, so what are some of the causes of stress?
That we know of? There are many. They are numerous. This is Kenya. We're in political, season where everything, the cost of living is high and everything is high. But there are things that we look at and we can tell Kenyans, this is what is causing stress. And before I tell you the causes of stress, I want to tell you that according to the World Health Organization, stress, depression, mental illness case, they are number 3 killer in the world. If you notice the number 1 cases of suicide between 15-year-old and 29-year-old, they are on the rise. And so you could be asking yourself, watu ni shida gani wameona kwa maisha? But you realize that there are many reasons, because even a newborn baby, Stephanie, they have stress.
Wow.
Are you aware?
How do they have stress and they're just born crying and they have everything?
Oh my goodness, those kids, those infants, they do have stress. And that is where you see their source of stress is not similar to yours. These children, they're looking at the mother and they can't see the mother. They're used to the voice of the mother and the face. So another face comes in. These kids looks at you and cries. Unashinda mtoto ni sura yangu amechukia. Hapana, it is only communicating. The baby is telling you, I can't recognize your face.
I don't know you.
Yeah, I don't know you. So they are stressed, and that's why they cry a lot, and you know, they have a way of showing that they are stressed. Maybe they are not even feeding well. So stress is not only for children. It is for everyone. And actually, the youngest person to commit suicide was a 9-year-old. Are you aware? 9-year-old child committed suicide. Goodness. And so you are left wondering, what has this child seen in life so that they could? So that tells you that every level of your life, you're dealing with stress. So what causes that? We come back to that. There are many reasons. You could be stressed because of maybe loss. Loss of life, loss of property, loss of status, you can name it. And because today we are addressing the youths, it is good that they know, even when somebody is dating another person, na amekataliwa, that is enough cause of stress.
That is enough.
That is enough. That this was my crush, and now nimeenda nimetoa mistari, and this person can't respond back. You have spent the whole night, you know, trying to rehearse how you're going to tell this girl, and when you come with flowers, this girl slaps you on your face. You dismisses you. You've had people being killed. You've heard of love triangles, isn't it? Yeah, a boyfriend stabbed the girlfriend to death or something. So that is loss. They're dealing with loss. It can be loss of life. somebody has lost a loved one, a parent, you've lost maybe a close relative, and you know we are dealing with a pandemic, the COVID-19. So people are not mourning. For that reason, somebody died today, tomorrow they are buried. So they didn't get enough time to mourn their beloved people. That is enough cause of stress.
Okay.
And if stress is not managed, when somebody is mourning, it can resort to something else, nasty. So you must come to a closure before maybe you can move on. But what happens to us when we see you crying? Don't be umelia sana. I mean, yeah, it's enough. Let mommy rest. Rest. You should help this person overcome that grief. So loss is one. Another cause of stress that we can deal with is probably illnesses that people are having. Illnesses, let's talk about life-threatening illnesses. Chronic illnesses like cancer. You've gone to a hospital, you're just having a headache, you didn't know much. Kufika pale, they diagnose you with cancer. That is enough cause of stress. And I'm told there more people die, not because of the illness, but of the mention of that illness. That if you didn't know that you're having it, you could have lived longer. But you've just gone there. This is a young girl who has never actually played with any person, and the first person she gets hooked up to, she contacts HIV. What becomes of that girl? Stress. If it is not well managed, you hear we've buried her. So other than illnesses, we can talk about, because we are talking more of the youth, I will not tell them marriage because they have not reached there, but I must prepare them that marriage is one cause of stress. You've had people killing one another all over, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even some very famous people. The other day we had a very famous person in Nigeria, a musician, who died out of domestic violence. So if the marriage is not working, we do not come and start telling you, vumilia, nini, nini. No, we tell you, you better observe from a distance. So marriage can be another cause of stress if there is no good relationship with that marriage. So it is good that you monitor, is this relationship toxic or not? That will be a show for another day. Other than marriage, another cause of stress can be peer pressure for our youth. Peer pressure is whereby I see Stephanie with a nice shoe and I equally want one, but I cannot afford one.
Yeah.
Stephanie has a boyfriend who bought for her a very expensive watch. Personally, I don't have, and my parents cannot afford. Peer pressure can cause stress in our youths, and I think it is very common today because people want to manage a certain lifestyle. See what wamemaliza mitihani. Yeah, they have just finished Form 4. They're going to join university. A very humble girl comes from the village, just well groomed and everything. You go to the university and you find that what people are wearing is not necessarily what people are wearing in the village. And so you want to upgrade your standard. So what do? You look for what people call amubaba, so who can sponsor your lifestyle. And so you are in stress after another.
Stress after another.
Yes, because of peer pressure. People want you want to belong to a certain group, which is okay. But at least it is good, you know, even if you want to belong to this group, are you yet there? Because don't usijiekele lifestyle if you're not yet there.
You can't manage it.
Move at your pace. That is it.
And
we do not want to hear, Stephanie, that somebody bought you a vehicle and then ikazimwa Thika Road. It's not very good. You'll be stressed the whole day.
Exactly.
Yeah. Other than peer pressure, we can talk about career. We are talking about career week, and we are talking about a career show. So you have realized that today, unlike our days, there are more diverse careers that have come up. And you realize that people are now more exposed. When we were growing up, I didn't know that there was something like a DJ, that you can go and pursue that. We didn't know much of these careers that are here today. And so we knew careers are these things, a doctor, a teacher, a what. We didn't know much. Now you've gotten your grade. You have an A-, you have an A B+, or whatever. And your parent insists, mimi usinitajie mambo ya DJ hapa. I want you to go and study medicine. I want you to go and pursue law. And so you are forced to do the career that is not out of your passion. And maybe let's talk to parents and tell them that today, talent pays.
Talent pays.
Yeah, it does. So don't just squeeze your child to the mentality that you had back then. Let this child go and explore their passion. It is out of their passion that they are going to make a living. So career can be a thing. Your parent wants you to do medicine and you're passionate about
something
art,
else,
design, and all those things. So you pursue what you like. So that can be another issue that can cause stress. Pregnancy
It definitely is a
A
stress,
serious one.
especially if when you're a youth and you're not married.
Imagine, and you know, when somebody is pregnant, it's a period where your body is reacting to anything and everything. There's a lot of hormonal changes in your body, and so you realize that this person has gotten pregnant, does not even know exactly the father, and even if she knows the father, anaenda kumtejea wambia wah, don't mention that, don't even know you. Anakukana hapo. You are on top of your hormones, you're dealing with something else altogether. You'll be very stressed. So pregnancy can be a cause of stress. And by the way, even when we are teaching our people about depression, there's what we call postpartum depression. As a result of pregnancy, somebody got a child, now feels like you're not ready to bring up your child and whatnot. You reject that child. You are crying. This mother is thinking of doing harm into this child. If postpartum depression goes past 2 weeks, it's supposed to be checked medically.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. We should not assume. It's a cause of alarm. This person will either harm herself or harm the baby. And so we should be able to monitor. And so if you're young and married and you're there, it's good if the lady has gotten a baby, walk that journey together. So that at least you monitor any behavior that does not look like the normal behavior.
She shouldn't be left alone.
Yeah, don't.
She shouldn't feel overwhelmed.
Yes. It's enough stress to bring up a child who is crying and who is thinking that 2 a.m. is the waking up time. When you're sleeping,
and it's your first
the baby
child.
And there's enough stress. It's like a good feeling. It's a good feeling, but at least you need enough support, enough help.
Okay.
Yes.
And let me ask, I'm hearing this, there's a lot of external causes. Are there also internal, something like fear, something like expectations, you know?
Yeah, sure.
Talk to us about this.
Let me tell you this. Now parents have gotten the result for their children. And I think in Kenya today, from experience, either in teaching or even outside there as a parent, I am a mother of 2. I think parents are the one doing exams, not these children. I think parents celebrated more this success more than the children. Because they were like, you know, if she doesn't make it to university, this and this. So you are there innocently, you're in school, you've done your best, and you've put the best foot forward. You've worked very hard, but you didn't make it to C+. You hammer a D. A D+, a C-. So you're not going to the university. So your parents, your whole clan, everybody who sent you a success card, anybody who prayed for you on the altar, they expected a good grade. But you haven't met the expectations. That is enough stress.
That is enough stress. And, you know, the thought of coming out and people asking you, what did you get?
What did you
get? And expect a response. Even someone who didn't send you a success card wants to know.
They're good with that. And you weren't there when the child was learning or anything.
Exactly. You don't know what they went through.
You're part of it. Probably they're looking for that custody to say, she failed.
Yeah, exactly.
So people must be there. But at least that is a cause of stress. But let us learn to own our results. Not everybody was meant to go and pursue careers at the university. Not everybody was channeled towards academics. There are people who are channeled towards skills, the use of skills. Think of somebody who does your hair. Think of somebody, they may not necessarily require a university degree to do your hair, but they're working with their hands. Think of, there are so many other careers. So it is good that parents do not just look at one area that says I'm a Miss University Nivo. No, so there are so many other things that you can do. Take this child to a tertiary institution, to a college, to a polytechnic, let them get skills, and those skills they're going to earn from them.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you've asked whether there are some inner issues that cause stress. I'll tell you. You realize that children or maybe teenagers or any other person has got some personal issues you keep to yourself, what you call secret. There's somebody we call Johari. Johari came up with an explanation of self-awareness and was saying that there is an area of open self. People know you. You know yourself. There's an area of hidden self. People don't know you, but there's some secret you know about yourself. There's an area of blind self. You don't know and people don't know. It is only God who knows.
It's only God who knows.
It is only God who knows.
So is that the good? Is that like a potential? You have something inside you that
I believe there are some qualities in you. There are some potentials in you that you don't know that you possess them. People don't know that you possess them. Only God knows that you possess them.
All right.
And most of the time they come out in the times of tragedy.
Okay.
Kuna shida. that is when you realize you can jump all the way up to there. You get it? That's a
Definitely.
potential we have never thought that you can be such a high jumper. You get it? So in this area of hidden self, these are the things you keep to yourself. You don't want to discuss with people. Yeah, so some of the nasty experiences people have kept to themselves, they keep on eating them up from inside, but they are not able to share them with people. Think of somebody who was a rape victim, or even sodomized, for that matter. It can be vice versa. Think of somebody who ever aborted. Think of somebody who is struggling with masturbation, pornography. These people, they have that thing, and it is killing them from inside. We say that there's one theory of counseling that says every human being is good and wants to be good. It's only that the situation does not allow you to be good. So everybody wants to be good. Now, you find that you may want to come out of that pornography, but you're not able to deal with it. And if I try and go and tell it to my mother, she will kill me. She's a lioness. If I try and tell it to my pastor or anybody in the church, they will judge me. I'll be excommunicated from church. If I share it with my friends, they will spread it all over. You prefer to keep it to yourself. Not that you have dealt with it, you have just buried it. So it is eating you from inside. And one of the things I've noted, even drug addicts, they don't want to be in that situation. They want to come out. There's a voice in them crying out for help. But nobody is able to decode that. We are there judging them. Huyu ni mlevi, huyu ni nini. They would not want to be associated with a bad behavior. Who wants to be bad? Nobody.
No.
Yeah, even walevi, listen to their songs. Most of them are gospel. Yeah, they are singing gospel songs, even in a club, because they still want to be associated with God, because God is associated with good things. You get it, eh?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is stress. So how do they manage? How can someone manage these stresses?
Before I tell you how to manage stress, let us tell people, because most of the questions that I get is, Zipporah, how do I know that I'm stressed?
All right.
How do you know that you're stressed? And the quickest and the easiest test that you can do yourself, you ask yourself, within a single day, 24 hours, what have you thought about? Because I'm one person who never knew when I'm stressed until when I feel my whole stomach is full of acid, I'm having
headache.
Kweli hiyo kitu nimeifikiria. So within a span of 24 hours, what have you thought about? You can list so many, because there are so many thoughts. Then you come, in the past 1 hour, what have you thought about? Then you can list. In the past 1 hour, how many times have I thought? In a frequency of 1 to 10, how many times has that thing repeated itself? So we are going to look at the frequency of the things you've thought about. If you've been thinking about career, probably that is what is stressing you.
Okay.
That is your cause of stress. So that is how you decode the frequency of that thought within 24 hours, within an hour, and how many times has it repeated itself.
So you need to know what exactly is stressing
you. You need to address what is stressing you so that we can treat it. You get it? Eh? So you had now asked, how do we manage our stress? Number one, share out with a trusted friend.
Before we get to that,
yes, please.
I know there are levels of stress. So how do I know? Okay, first mention the levels of stress that are there, the types of stress that are there before we get to how to manage.
Okay, thank you. For purposes of this conversation, we want to tell our viewers, not the medical perspective, but just the general perspective, that there is good stress and there is bad stress. Did you know that?
No.
There's good stress. Good stress
what is good
this.
stress?
We call it eustress.
Eustress.
Eustress. Eustress is good stress. I mean, if your life wasn't having any stress, honestly, you would be obese. As in, hakuna kitu kinakusumbua, so the food comes in, it's pack itself and everything and everything. And I am not saying that obese people do not have stress, because again, stress can resort to overeating. I hope you are aware of that. Eh?
Yes, I know that.
But what I'm trying to say is this: if you don't have something that is disturbing you in your body, at least, why did you wake up? Because you had something you are pursuing, isn't it? No, that is good stress.
So
you must come here, you must beat the traffic to be here and to do what? That is good stress.
Something that keeps you on your toes.
Yes, something that keeps you on your toes. Yani, hujakaa tu hivi nde umiangalia tu, you don't know what life is just. If life is so good, did you know that I even look at children? When children misbehave, you know that they are very idle. Give them something to do. They won't have time to misbehave. So your body, the same. If you want your body to work well, give it some small amount of stress.
Okay.
If you don't,
This is a new one.
oh yeah, if your body must work and function well, give it something to think. So the heart will be busy beating, the mind will be busy jogging. So your system is functioning and you're eating and you're using energy. That is good stress.
What can we say? What can we like use as good stress? Something that will build us. Can we use that? Something that you want to achieve?
Oh,
so
yes, yes.
we'll
Your
put that as a
dreams,
good stress.
your aspirations, what you want to achieve, your plans, your goals. Now that is good stress.
That is good
you
stress.
tell us my vision. By the end of this year, I want to have done this.
So
Now
that is good.
That is good stress because now you'll have to, wake up every other morning, put logistic in order on how to go and get that. But now there's what you call the bad stress. Now this bad stress is what is making you not live your normal life.
Okay.
If you are used to people, talking to people and being the happy you, now you're becoming reserved. Now that is bad stress. You are using to feeding well, now your system is not feeding well. You are sleeping well, now you have abnormal sleeping patterns, what we call hypersomnia and insomnia. Insomnia is when you don't sleep at all.
And then hyper is when you
Hyper
sleep
is
a
when
lot.
you're sleeping like throughout. I mean, we were not meant to sleep throughout. Where do we get food? Again, we were not meant to go 24 hours without sleeping. So there must be a balance. So if stress comes and terminates that balance of how you're supposed to do things. And so what now can we do so that we eliminate stress or we manage the stressors in our life? Number one, and I advocate this mostly, is share. But when we say share, we must tell you whom to share with.
Okay.
You don't just go sharing with anyone. This is Kenya. Not only Kenya.
You can't trust anyone.
You cannot trust anybody. I mean, with a secret, you say it, and in the evening, it's all over media.
Yeah.
So you share it, but you share it with the right people. So you can have a confidence. If you have a confidence that you can share, you can go and be yourself, you're blessed.
So what if you're in a toxic environment, you're not really close to your parents, maybe this is someone who's just finished their KCP or KCSE and they're really disappointed in themselves or they feel they've disappointed their people, so they can't really go to their parents because their parents are the strict type and you can't really confide in your friends because they will, talk behind your back. So how do they do it?
I think in every family setup, at least God has left some people that we can run to. So if your parents are unapproachable, you can use your relative, like maybe you have a trusted auntie or uncle or even a grandparent. I mean, they are very good in understanding. You go and tell them, me, I know my mom is a lion. I know my father is equally one. So I cannot confide in them. Please tell them this and this. Please help them understand that it was not my wish not to get the grade they wanted. You get it? So you can confide in a in a relative. If not that, we have religious leaders who act as fathers. So, and mothers in the sense if it's a lady. So you can also confide in them. So that at least you tell them, they have a way of now talking to the parents and telling them, hey, take it easy, nini. If now that is not working, that is where we have the counselors. You're able to access a counselor, you go share out your fears without fear of being judged. A counselor will not judge you, will sit and listen to you without making judgment. Yeah, so you can always look for an escape route where you're going to talk. And can I surprise you, Stephanie? Sometimes when you go and share that stress with somebody, not that they'll give you a solution, but the fact that they listened, you just came and said, you know the way my marriage is not working, you know what. They preempt all their stressors. And the more they are talking, the more they're expressing and relieving that stress.
That burden
so they go home feeling like, why do you think people go to God and they cry? Mnaambua jiachilie mbele za Bwana, and you hear somebody saying, God rent, God this and this and this. Not that God, not that there is answers you've gotten by the time you are leaving that church, but you have a way of feeling like, I've told my problems to somebody. So I've relieved them, so I'm going away. You get it? That is now what happens when you're sharing. So it is very important that you share. Number two, it is important that you do what you like most. A way of releasing stress. We also give this skill to people who are managing anger. So we tell you that you have an issue with anger management. What are you supposed to do? Do what you like most when you're angry. So what is this? We call them catharsis. Catharsis, these are strategies that you can use to relieve stress from your system. It can be maybe you are very good in art. Maybe you are artistic. And so whenever you are stressed, you feel you want to release it, you just go and take your pen, your brush, and your painting, whatever. You go and draw some very nice thing. What has that done to you? It has temporarily removed your brain and your energy and your what from what was stressing you to what you're doing.
You have channeled your energy.
You've channeled your energy elsewhere. So you can be, maybe you're into music, you sing. There's no way you'll be concentrating on a melody and you're still concentrating on stress. It's not possible. Maybe it's sports. Wewe ni mtu wa kukimbia, athlete. Maybe it's football. Maybe it's whatever it is that you do and it brings you there. Maybe it's dancing. You open the music and you dance yourself around the house. By the time you sweat, you're tired, you're exhausted, you don't think about that. So that's another way. There are people who manage their stress by traveling. Yeah. Amechoka tu, anaweka gari mafuta, road drive to Kajiado, barabara ya Namanga. You drive, and as you're driving, you're seeing sceneries and whatnot. So it's a way of relieving stress, by the way, because you've just walked away from the stressors. And that is where you find in a marriage setup, in a home environment, if the man realizes that this home is toxic, this wife is making a lot of noise, they'll go to the club and come back at 2 a.m. So they were running away from the stressors in the house. You get it, eh?
Yeah.
So other than that, we advocate for exercise. Exercise is a good way. When you are exercising, there are some hormones that your body gives out. You're sweating out your what. You will not concentrate on two things at the same time. Other than that, we tell people about diet. Your diet, what you eat. So mind your diet. It's good that you take something that has enough magnesium, enough vitamins for relaxation, for a happy hormone. Something like pineapples and bananas. They are known to trigger good hormone within you. Yeah, so you can take that. You take that often. Mind your diet. Don't take something that will make your system too tired to digest, because you're adding stress to another system that has enough stress within itself. So mind your diet. It helps. But I keep on reminding our viewers that diet is not necessarily the food. Even what you watch and what you listen is part of your diet. So if you realize that you're stressed, why watch a horror movie?
It will add to your stress.
Ati unasikia tu ma aliens zinakuja sijui zinafanya nini. I mean, you're adding stress to a system that is stressed. So what's something nice that can help you relieve that stress?
Like a comedy.
Yes, like a comedy. Whatever it is that you listen or you do. Nowadays, teens, they have everything. Unaweza ingia pale, what do you call it?
TikTok.
Snapchat. You can go there to whatever it is that you go. Unaingia tu hapa and you watch people, and you know, Kenyans are never fail you in terms of they're very hilarious, eh? Yeah. So other than that, other than what you see, what you listen. If you're in a toxic environment and the people you are living next to you, they are only negative people, they only speak negative things, you will be full of stress yourself. Your system has a way of absorbing from the environment. So quit toxic relationship.
And they say that, you know, when you associate, even if you're not stressed, when you sit with people or you associate with people who are always giving you their problems and everything, it ends up stressing you.
Oh yeah, it
does.
Is it true? It does. Even in counseling, after sitting and absorbing people's shock, people crying, people doing what, people's problem, and you've absorbed enough of them within your system, you cannot, and the bad thing with counseling is that you cannot go and share with the people. You know, it was in a confidential setup. You also go for a therapy. You go for a debriefing moment. To a clinical a therapist, a clinician. So they will take you through so that they help you unwind. Otherwise, ukibeba tu stress za watu na wewe tu meziweka na uko na zako, you'll burst. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And most of them you've talked about. I feel like it's a way of avoiding stress. Like, you know, when I'm thinking of something too much, I do something that I like. But how do I, because at the end of the day, this thing will still be there. If I'm thinking of how do I get a job, in my career, I'm stagnant at this point. So there's nothing changing. I will go listen to my music, but after that, I come back to the same thing. The situation has not changed. So how do I really manage? How do I get out of this stress?
I keep on saying that dawa ya moto ni moto, isn't it? When we realize that your problem is fear, the way to overcome that fear is to give you more fearful situation, more opportunities for you to fear until you get used to that fear.
Okay, wow.
If you have phobia speaking in front of people, Now, we cannot pray for you so that you get away that phobia. We can only give you more chances and opportunities to start and make mistakes, and then you get used. Your phobia equation. Now, what your problem was job. You've danced, but the still problem exists. You'll come here and weigh your options and probably go to the right people who can help. We will only help you to open up your mind and realize that job doesn't have to be employed. Probably you've been working from office to office, dropping your CVs and everything, and it is not working. Kenya today, the rate of unemployment, I think, is over 17%. It's very high. So what are you supposed to do? Look for alternative 2, option B. What is that option B? You can be self-employed. The bad thing with our youth today, and not only them, I think it is just the system that has shaped them that way, and I thank God for KBC because it is soon going to be shaped out. We've grown knowing that you have to be employed. You don't have to be employed. You can self-employ yourself. You've seen people and they are making money. You can just decide to keep your degree down and you come and employ yourself. You get it? You can start a small business. Do not expect to make millions within the first year or within the second year. Allow your career, your business to grow. So the bad thing with us is that we have been used to some people who have stolen money and they've become rich overnight, and we think that is the way to success. Honestly, that is not the way to success. You have to build a career. You have to build your brand name so that at least you can be somewhere. So if you are willing, because that is the problem. You know me, I'm in the society and I have seen people. Uko na kamjengo mahali, you want somebody to go and paint. Just painting, the normal painting. Ya nyumba that I can do. Unakuta vijana wamekaa hapo, you tell them, please come. I'll just pay you maybe, tuseme hapa na 500. It's a small place. Ambia hapana, me I can't work without 3,000. You go and get Amze, does it very fast and comes back and you give him the money. The same youth are seated there. Are you trying to say there is unemployment? No, they have refused to work. Amekata hiyo kazi. So they think work is working in a bank, in an office, and in a what? You get it? So it is good that in as much as you are dancing and you're doing all this, explore what was the source of stress. Look for alternatives.
So you face that particular
challenge head on.
And you find a solution to it and move on from that.
Yes. And I believe their career guidance, you'll be guided all through. That if you want to make this money, this is what you do, this is what you don't do.
Okay. So tell us, you've told us how we can know that we are stressed when we're thinking about something too much. And now, what are the effects of stress? One, to our behavior, to our mood, and I don't know.
Thank you. When you want to know you're stressed, there are things that we can look at, because I told you, if stress is not properly managed, it leads to depression, a state of hopelessness, because you've been strong for too long. So this stress, how do you know that you're stressed? If you are to look at a child, for example, and you want to identify that this child is stressed, number one, they are very moody. Mood swings that you normally used to be very happy, all of a sudden a very small thing makes you blow up. Okay. You get it, A very small thing. Maybe and Kenyans, we are an angry nation as we talk. People's level of stress is up there now. If it was at 45 now, it has gone to 50 or 55 because the cost of living is high and everything. So this seems not to be working. Life is becoming tougher, tighter every single day. So stressors are becoming more. So you realize that these people, their mood changes very fast. They have some serious mood swing. Unamkosea kidogo, they blow up. Another thing to look at, these people, they are withdrawn. A stressed person is withdrawn. Even lack of concentration from what they normally do in normal day living. This is the person you find ameamuka na hataki kwenda job. Ameenda job, ameweka laptop pale, ameweka nini, and that is it. Me, I know of somebody who goes to their work, anafunguanisha laptop, ati ni kutengeneza, jioni inafika, lunchtime inafika, anaifunguanisha, anaenda. Nini, anaifunguanisha, the day is gone. Hasn't done a thing. So when you are not concentrating in your work, you're stressed. That is one way of knowing. Another thing that maybe you can look at in this person, we've talked about irritability. Highly irritable. Unakosewa kitu kidogo, you blow out of proportion. You think people hate you. You think what? Mind your eating pattern. Stress people, it's either they overeat or they undereat. And undereating, let's talk to the youth because they're there. There's something we call bulimia. There's something we call anorexia nervosa. This binge eating. Kuna mtu akona abnormal behavior of eating. You eat and eat and eat. You induce vomiting. You continue eating and eating and eating. Wow. It's a disorder.
Oh, you eat, you vomit, and then you still
Yes,
continue eating.
it's a disorder. Again, I don't know who told people that being figure one is very nice. So there are people who are fighting to the nail to get a figure one. So what do? They avoid food.
Completely.
You find somebody has only taken a quarter slice of bread and some vegetables the whole day, 24 hours. Nothing else. So this person becomes malnourished. And if they realize that they are eating, they go and induce vomiting. Anakula na naenda anaitapika yote, so that at least they want to remain that figure one. One day you will faint in public.
Yeah.
You don't have energy, and your body requires energy to walk, to breathe, to do what. So your patterns of eating can tell us whether you're stressed or not. Pattern of sleeping. Your sleeping pattern. I told you can either be sleeping too much or not getting sleep at all. Okay. Now it has a way of impacting in your productiveness when you go to work. You didn't sleep well, or you slept you slept too much. You don't become productive. That's another way of knowing somebody is stressed. Really so the other things I had mentioned, what you call psychosomatic illness. Now this is illness that the real cause is not known. We try to treat. I'm sure you must have heard people saying that when my child is doing exam, kila wakati yeye ukuwa mgonjwa. Have you ever asked yourself why they are sick? This is exam phobia. The body has to come up with something that will give an excuse not to do that exam. Right. It comes in the form of headache, it comes in the form of diarrhea, it comes in the form of stomach upset and every other thing. So this child is sick, and genuinely the child is sick. But when you take them to the doctor runs all the tests and cannot find anything in the system. And so what do? They refer you to a counselor. Pelekea counselor huyu mtoto, aongee na yeye. And when they talk, you realize that there is a hidden fear, what you call anxiety. We say that anxiety is what makes you stop living your normal life.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask if prolonged stress can lead to anxiety.
Not necessarily. Prolonged stress leads to depression. But a stressed person is anxious. You are anxious because anxiety is when you don't know what will happen next. Okay. And so when you're anxious, we can classify you into several categories, because we have what we call anxiety disorders. There are people who fear, but the fear is unknown, fear of unknown. You feel like this house will blow up, but you've not heard of Al-Shabaabs, you've not heard of anything. There's nothing threatening, but within you, you have a lot of fear. So it makes you feel like this house is full of genies. You've never seen a genie yourself. Personally, I've also never seen one. But you feel like there is one in the house. You start hearing your voices speaking.
People calling you.
Yeah, I've dealt with people who tells you that they're hearing voices telling them to kill themselves, the suicidal people, yeah? So when you deal with this child, you realize there's a lot of anxiety piled up inside. Probably maybe the marriage of their parent is not working. They've seen parents fight, because if you grew up in a dysfunctional home, it's one cause of stress. Your parents were fighting throughout. Who would want to see their mother being battered, or even their father for that matter? And so when you hear your mother screaming, will you still continue sleeping? Of course not. That's enough stress. Yeah. And we are saying that anxiety now can prolong, and it becomes something else. You now get a disorder. A disorder can either be helped through the use of a counselor, but if it is extreme, because we look at some qualities, how many of them do you possess, so that we know whether to put you on medicine or actually to refer you to a clinical psychologist. Because now the normal counselor will not put you into drugs. You have to be done some tests so that they can know these requires some clinical psychologist to come and do psychological assessment and tell you whether you'll go for drugs or not. All right.
So now, how do you, something else on stress. They say that certain personalities are more prone to stress. I don't know how true this is.
Yeah, the other time we did a show on personality disorder development. Yes, they are. There are four main personalities that we discussed. We talked of the choleric, very energetic people, hardworking, extreme hardworking, melancholic, very organized, very orderly, extreme neat freaks. We talked of the sanguines, who are very happy, outgoing, and we talked of phlegmatic, people who don't talk much. Now I want you to picture this. This is a sanguine. A sanguine are people who do everything for a show off. Whatever they are doing, they buy a gadget, it's for a show off. They want to drive the most expensive machine so that people can recognize them in the society. But they don't have that money. What do? they will either go and borrow. And so they'll be stressed. Their type of life will be stressed and characterized by stress because they want to please the society, but they don't have the capability of pleasing them. You want a phone worth 100,000, but you can only afford one worth 10,000. What do? You go and borrow 90. You do not even have the ability to repay back that money well. So you'll be stressed. So if you're a sanguine and you're an overspender, I mean, we know you are an overspender if the type of life you're living, you're not, it is beyond your means. You shouldn't be able to struggle financing your lifestyle. You shouldn't struggle financing your lifestyle. Kama wewe ni mtu wa kuenda salon and normally you do your hair, it should come naturally that you do your hair. But if you're struggling to do your hair, then you're doing a hair that is not of your lifestyle. I mean, it is way above what you're supposed to do. So these people, they will be stressed because they want to live life that is higher than what they are earning.
So the sanguines are
more
prone
to
stress.
Any person will be stressed. I told you what happens between when this personality marries this personality. Because I want you to imagine of somebody who is very quiet and reserved married to a sanguine. I want you to imagine of a choleric, not a choleric, but a melancholic who is very orderly, married to a sanguine who is very disorderly. I want my socks put here. Yeye alizitupa huko kwa mlango because alikuwa mlevi. You will be stressed. What about this person who is a phlegmatic married to a melancholic? Phlegmatic ni quiet, godly, reserved, friendly, and then the person here wants things done in a certain way. Wants food served in a certain way, and you can't manage that. What will happen? You feel intimidated. They want the bed made, white sheets, whatnot, and you didn't manage that. You feel intimidated. You'll be stressed because of that. So even intermarriage, when people are looking for wives and husbands, it's good you know the personality. You get married and you ask yourself, am I ready to settle down with this kind of personality?
Yeah, exactly. Now, what does it mean when someone suddenly starts crying?
From nowhere?
From nowhere. Does that show that you're really stressed? Maybe you've been piling a lot of things inside you.
And this is an adult because children will cry.
Yeah, this is an adult.
For children, that is their language of communication. But for an adult, we do not expect you to be a crybaby. The only people we allow to cry is in the soap operas. Ati Alejandra amefanywa nini and you're busy crying nini nini. But now in the real life situation, life has hardened you. So if you're crying and it is not during burial, you've not received bad news, you're not what, it could be a sign of depression. Not even necessarily stress. Okay, stress can make you cry, but when you're stressed, you're still juggling with that problem. Depression is where it has overwhelmed you. So people who are clinically depressed, they break down with no proper order, no specific reason, anaweza tu kukuangalia hivi naanze kulia. So we would really need to deal with this person, you know. Why? Because we say that number one sign of depression is extreme sadness. But we can't even explain why this person is sad. Neither can the victim explain. So this person can just break down anytime for no proper reason. So it could be a sign of depression.
All right. So as we come to a close of this conversation, how do you quiet your mind? How do you ensure you don't get into stress or things like that?
Let me start by saying that in this world, you'll never avoid stress. You could live a very careful life. You could be a very careful driver. But the person driving next, akuje na akugongea kio. So you are a careful driver, but gari lako limegongwa because you will not avoid stress because the people who will cause stress are all over. But I can say this, you can practice how to quiet your soul, how to quiet your mind. You know what you are absorbing within yourself. You know your environment, which people are within you, which people are next to you, which group of people. For example, you must have heard this term that tumeenda kurave. You've heard that, eh? We've gone for girls' night out, for boys outing. Chunguza sana. What is this one factor that has tied these people? If you are not part of that factor, walk away, run away from that. Because you could find that these people, they have cash, but you don't have it. but you're within that group, you'll feel intimidated, you'll be stressed.
So
to avoid that group.
Just
So
sit at
check
home.
your environment very well and try to get rid of toxic things that can make you. If it's in a house that you're living and the neighbors are always fighting and whatnot, you can choose to vacate. Move to a next a house that is quiet. If it's, for example, a career, you're in a career and it is very negative, you're not getting good feedback, honestly, in as much as you'll be there, you'll not be productive. I mean, for you to be productive, you must be happy of what you do every single day. And it is unfortunate that we are told that most Kenyans are not happy with what they are, not even contented with what they do. They are not happy that this is what they wake up to do. It's Monday morning. Umeona ile cartoon wewe inaonyesha Monday morning vile watu huenda kazi wamejikokota na vile Friday wanarukaruka wakienda out. So that is they are not happy with what they are doing. Look for a career that is excites you, your passion. Follow your passion. So you can try and quiet your environment, get rid, know what you are absorbing. Personally, I watch news, but I select what to watch. You could find me on TV and I just select a few, because you realize that today the world is so negative. You either they are reporting somebody who was killed, somebody who burnt a house, somebody who stabbed another person. Now, why should my system absorb all these killings?
Yeah.
Of course not. So it is good to know what is happening, but at least do not sit and listen to bad news after bad news after bad news. It is going to work negatively on you. And above all, it's good to do meditation. Before you sleep. You've had people do yoga. So you just sit and you quiet your inner soul, because you could be quiet, you switch off the TV and every gadget, but from inside,
so much noise.
Ile noise iko hapo is more than a club. From inside, oh, this and this and this. So learn to quiet, do meditation. You meditate, you just keep quiet and you let your thoughts, you feel like you're in the air. That is now good meditation. It is able to get rid of all those and it gives you quality sleep.
Wow. All right. Thank you. You've said we should know what exactly is stressing us.
Yes.
So we go through what we have been thinking around the day, know what I've thought about so much, and that is probably what is stressing me.
Sure.
And then I find a way, I find something that I love doing to avoid that stress. And then I should address that particular stress, face it head on, and be in a good space, avoid toxic environment, and do meditation. Just to be in a peaceful place. And there's no way I can avoid stress in this life.
You will not avoid stress, not unless you're living in heaven where there are angels. But as long as you're here on earth,
you can't.
You
just have to find ways of managing stress.
Sure.
Wow, thank you. This has been a wonderful conversation.
You're welcome.
Do you have a word that you want to pass before we close?
Yeah, maybe I can tell our Kenyans, our youth, our viewers that all these things we are talking about, stress, depression, anxiety, all those disorders. A time reaches, even in parenting, you find that you have tried all your best and it is still not working. You've done everything that you're supposed to have done within your means. It is still not working. You need help. That is when you come to us as the counselors, and we are able to help. You'll be able to come through your problem. We're able to work with you through that journey. So before you commit suicide, it normally pains me a lot when I hear somebody committed suicide, because I always imagine the potential within this person. Amegraduate tu amejiua, amemaliza shule tu amejiua. Before you can go into that extreme, and even for our youth, ukiachwa achika. Wacha maneno ya kuua mtu ati because amekuacha. I mean, they are not 12 like the disciples of Jesus. They are more. So ukiachwa, kubali umeachwa and move on. You'll get a better one. So before you think of doing anything nasty, before you think of killing yourself, before you think of getting into drugs, talk to us. Reach out to someone. Get to counselors and we'll be able to help you.
Okay. And how expensive or affordable are
No,
counselors?
we are affordable.
Because someone might say, I can't afford a counselor, so there's no way I'm even considering that as an option.
But can I surprise you? I have done marriage counseling to some people. Okay, I do counseling because I am also into child psychology. I've done child counseling and all such stuff one-on-one. And you realize, you will notice, if you go to a hospital setup, how much do you pay for consultation only? just consultation, nothing else. Consultation fee, hajakupatia dawa, hajakutibu, and there you are. And maybe that illness prolongs until you go to the lab, they do scans, they do tests and everything. It becomes very expensive to manage a disease. But if only you booked a session, a therapy session, where you're able to talk one-on-one, you wouldn't go the drug way. Yeah, so even in marriage setup, if you can invest in your marriage, you go see a counselor before things go out of hand. You will not go to the expense of even kujikuta kwa media, sijui mliuana, sijui mnatafuta wakili, sijui huyu ameenda, you've separated. Divorce is expensive. Separation is expensive, and then economically you are stagnated. You are not now investing that way. So it is always easier to see a counselor than to treat the issue that you would have gone to hospital.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So thank you. So
Karibu
we have
sana.
had it. Seek for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it, because you need to. When you share it out, you have solved half of the problem.
Sure.
This has been an interesting conversation with Zipporah Wanyiki, who's a trainer, a counselor, and a teacher. Thank you for coming once again, Zipporah.
You're welcome.
So that brings the end to youth and career, but Ram Aguko will be coming up next. So don't go anywhere. We take a short break.